topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Connected Table Live. We're your hosts, Melanie and David Ransom, your insatiably curious culinary couple. We travel the world to bring you the amazing people we meet, the places we visit, the wines we sip, and the food we eat, hopefully to inspire you to get out there and travel and taste and step outside your usual comfort zone and explore. We are in prime holiday season, even though this is an evergreen show. Thanksgiving is this week. And of course, we're going to do a show to get you ready for the holidays and beyond on sparkling wines. So let's raise a glass and let's get started.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. So how did we organize this? Because it's a big topic. Well, first, we're focusing on sparkling wines in the methode traditionelle, which means the secondary fermentation occurs in the bottle. There's also the Charmat method, which is fermentation in tank, but we're focusing on methode traditionelle because we are so lucky to have many options to share with you. So that's the first thing. Second, we're focusing on wines outside the United States because we really want to dedicate a separate show to the United States and its wealth of sparkling wines. And last week we just did one of our favorites, Dr. Constantine Franck. In fact, this photo is in the riddling room, in the rack room at Constantine Franck. It's like a sacred chamber, right?
Yes, it's one of our favorite wineries and one of the great New York wine producers and sparkling wine producers as well.
Yeah.
However, so we're using them as a backdrop to talk about European sparkling wine.
Exactly. But he was from Europe, Constantine Franck from
Yes,
the
he
Ukraine. And please check out our show with Megan Franck. Okay, the third way we narrowed it down, because again, it's a narrowing down process, is we're also giving thanks. We're giving thanks to all the wonderful consortia and wine organizations and producers who have hosted us in their wineries and regions over the year 2025 and have showered us with wonderful samples for us to taste and select so that we can bring this information to you to help you plan how you want to have your holidays and beyond, because this is an everyday occasion for us with sparkling wine. So one, we have either visited the wineries and are going to talk about that because we want you to travel. We have samples that have been sent to us and we really love and recommend these wines. We tried to make it global. So we're going to have wines from Europe and New Zealand, South America, and South Africa. So global. We're giving the United States its own separate show. And we're looking forward to getting samples there. And methode champenoise or methode traditionelle. Okay, so second fermentation in the bottle. So with that in mind, we're going to start with the country we visited, 7 times?
At least, I think 6 times this year.
Yeah. And so we'll start there.
We're well versed in these wines.
So grazie per tutti, Italia. We're so grateful. And interestingly, we actually went to 2 regions that specialize in sparkling wine. The first is Franciacorta. And this one is really significant because Franciacorta is a DOCG wine in Lombardia in the northern part. It is stunning. What was your impression when you went there? What did you see in front of us?
Well, it's a beautiful region because it's really where the Lake District starts. Yeah. And it's just on the southern end of Lake Iseo, Lago d'Iseo, which is one of the beautiful lakes like Como and Garda, et cetera, in the northern region of Italy. And the mountains start there as well. So it's really quite visually stunning. And the wines are also fabulous. And we visited one of the great producers there, which is Villa Franciacorta.
Yes.
And a very historic producer. And the founder of Villa Franciacorta was really the gentleman who really kind of kick-started the sparkling wine production in that region.
Exactly. His name was Alessandro Bianchi. His family still runs the winery, and sadly he passed a few years ago. But he, like many small villages, he was from the region, but like many small villages after World War II, they were decimated. and poor. And he decided to dedicate himself to the land and to rebuilding the town of Villa. It's actually called Villa. And Villa Franciacorta is in it. So it's both a producer of Franciacorta DOCG wines, because it is a DOCG sparkling wine only region, DOCG sparkling wines only in the method traditional, but you can't say that on the you cannot say that on the label. Interesting fact. You just say Franciacorta. It's also a restored hamlet, and you can stay there. We had the great opportunity to stay. They have these self what do you call them, efficiencies, where you can, you have your little kitchen and everything, and you can stay there for a week, a month, a summer, and it's beautiful. We tasted many of Villa Franciacorta sparkling wines. For the interest of time and not spending too much on one producer versus the other, we're going to mention one or two here. One I want to bring up because it's a very specific term in Franciacorta, is satin, like satin. And that is a reference to the Blanc de Blanc. In this case, it's 100% Chardonnay, vinified in stainless and then aged for a minimum of 36 months on lees. These are also wines that are affordable given the situation these days with tariffs. It's about $37 a bottle. So it's a Blanc de Blanc terminology, 100% white, usually the Chardonnay grape, because the three main grapes of Champagne are Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier or Meunier. However, in Italy and other parts outside Champagne, there may be other grape varieties used.
Yes, and let's just clarify that sparkling wine is made all over Italy.
Yes,
but Franciacorta is probably the most well known, and I think it's really the top of the heap when it comes to Italian sparkling wine.
It is.
And Villa Franciacorta obviously is the legendary property there.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's one of the regions, because it's northern Italy, there's a lot of sparkling wine made, as I said, all over Italy.
Correct.
And tons in the south as well. However, up in the north, you get to use the traditional varieties of Chardonnay,
yes,
Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, because the climate is acceptable for those grapes to be grown.
Yes. We don't have any wines to share with you from Trento Dock, but that is another northern appellation we hope to visit. We've been there like once or twice, but it is also a region known for its sparkling wines. And these are cool climate, mountainous areas, which sparkling wines just love.
Yeah.
With limestone.
The climate comes down off the Alps.
Exactly.
So it's also got some, we call it lake effect weather too as well. So not lake effect like they have here in the United States, that's for sure, Buffalo included. But we have a lot of effect from the lakes and the deepness of the lakes that really kind of helps with the growing conditions to make it really great for these types of grapes.
Yeah. So there are other well-known producers like Cada Basca and Bella Vista. You look for Franciacorta on the label. And as I said, it is not permitted to say method traditional on the label. They want it to be Franciacorta. Another trend we learned when we were visiting with the Bianchi family is that pas dosé, which is brut nature, which is no dosage, which means no dosage, are growing in popularity. So if you don't want the dosage, which is added sugar, that is something to think about. And they actually have the Diamant Pas Dosé. It's a melismata, which means it's a vintage 2016, and that's a blend of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, aged in barrique for 6 months, about 66 months. Sorry, aged 66 months on lees, and about $42. So there's a range everywhere. Again, the producer is Villa Franciacorta, and we have if you go to our podcast library, you'll actually find the interview we did with the family. We're just going to mention briefly Lambrusco because we're doing a series of shows, but it is important to note that this is a region in Emilia-Romagna also dedicated to sparkling wines. The majority are Charmat, which means fermentation in tank, but you also can find some very good method traditionelle or metodo classico, as they say in Italy, sparkling wines as well, with very fine bubbles. Lambrusco can be frizzante or spumante. Dry to amabile, which is sweet. Dry and rosé-like, as in a term called sorbara, or fruitier, like juicy fruity, really juicy red, grapey, which is the Lambrusco di Grasparosa. So many styles. Like most sparkling wines, low alcohol by volume. The actual average alcohol by volume in most sparkling wines, cool climate, because still is 12%. 12.5%. The Lambruscos are actually sometimes 9 and 10%. So we're going to be doing several shows on that, but the producers that we recommend and are featuring on the Connected Table Live or will be actually are Bertolani, Paltrinieri, and Lombardini, all major producers, sold in the United States with one thing in common. Do you know what it is? They're all celebrating 100 years. These are family-run producers over a centuries old in Lambrusco, which is in Emilia-Romagna in the area around Modena, a gorgeous town. And we were there when October.
The home of Ferrari, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And also the home of Ferrari and a really great museum. As David said, Italy has wonderful sparkling wines throughout, but I think we highlighted 3 regions where, we touched on Trento Dock because we don't really have any wines to talk about. But there's a big name is Ferrari. Ferrari Sparkling Wines is a very big name.
And they're up in the Trento.
And they're in the Trento,
yes. North of Venice, up in the Alps.
Yeah, so that's going to be, is it the Alps or the Dolomiti?
The Dolomiti.
The Dolomiti, yeah. So again, cool climate, mountainous, and Ferrari is the most well-known, no relation to the car, right? Right.
And when I said Modena was the home of Ferrari, I meant Enzo Ferrari, the car producer.
Yes. Ferrari Museum.
Just so we're clear.
In Modena, Ferrari Sparkling Wine. And they also have, by the way, we did go, and it's not part of it, they have a wonderful winery also in Montefalco.
Yes.
In Umbria. So Italy. And very good price point. Spain, also a great price point. The area of Spain dedicated to sparkling wine is in the region called the Penedès. And it is Dio Cava. Cava is all method traditional sparkling wine, but the grapes are mostly native to Spain.
Yeah, the traditional method, the traditional grapes used in making cava are indigenous grapes to Spain, although there is some other sparkling wines made in Spain from other grape varieties.
Yes.
Some of them international, like Chardonnay, etc. The star of Spanish sparkling wine is cava, and those are all indigenous varieties, local to the region.
And this is a Mediterranean area. This region is in north of Barcelona. Yeah. We have been there. We actually went to stay many years ago with Castella Perolata, also a terrific producer of sparkling wines. There's many, and we stay there. So if you're really into visiting and staying, Castella Perolata has a great setup and a wonderful summer concert series that we saw.
And they have a casino too.
Yeah, it's terrific.
You can stay at the hotel. You can stay, and they have a beautiful castle and a fabulous museum, a fabulous glass museum. Remember?
Yes, it was fabulous.
That Castilla Perolata has curated over the centuries, really. And their wines are wonderful. It's a great experience. You can spend money and you can lose money there because they have a casino.
The great thing about Cava is still now there have been a lot of developments in Cava with like many regions, new layers added. I won't go into that because the bottom line is Cava is a method traditional sparkling wine, and it's usually very affordable, and it comes in different price points. The one we have picked, actually, the producer is well known in Rioja. It's the Marqués de Cáceres. They're really well known in Rioja Alta. However, and just a little bit about Marqués de Cáceres, it dates back 5 generations. It's currently overseen by the 5th generation family member, amazing woman. We've had her on the Connected Table, Cristina Forner, brilliant woman. They also produce a Dio Cava in the Penedès. And this one that we're recommending, and we have photos. Can we pop the photos just in the corner so you can see? This is a Brut, a dry cava. It's a blend of those indigenous grapes. You reference Xarel-lo, which is spelled Xarelo. So Xarel-lo, Macabeo, and Perolata. And these are sourced from 25-year-old vines, aged minimum 11 months on lees. You know that lees aging is so important. The longer lees aging, you get those wonderful toasty notes and softness. 11.5% alcohol by volume. Amazing. Notes of green apple, white flowers, and brioche because of the lees aging. $18.99 retail. Suggested retail. This is suggested retail.
Yeah, I think in the world of method traditional sparkling wine, I think Cava is really one of the best values out there.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Although you can spend a lot of money on a good Cava too, because the Cava range is anywhere from $8 a bottle in the store all the way up to $100. And some of those more expensive ones are equally on par with any champagne that you'll have. They're just amazing. Like Gramona is one of the producers.
Thank you. I was sitting here as you're talking.
Just makes amazing sparkling wines.
Gramona is probably one of the most elegant and hard to find, but elegant Cavas in the world.
Yeah. Needless to say.
We don't have it with us, but we sent, thank you, Vineyard Brands, the importer. Spain, we could go on and on, but Cavas, again, we're just touching on this so that you can travel the world. And if you go to this region, to the Penedès, it's beautiful. It's on the water. It's north of Barcelona, so you can tie it in with the Barcelona trip. And the Salvador Dali Museum is kind of in that area too, and you can't miss that. It's so awesome and really amazing food. Now, we're going to go to Austria. I have not been to Austria. And boy, studying it for the certified specialist of wine was hard for me because A, I have not been, and B, I don't speak the language and everything's hard to pronounce. But the wines are very good. Now, you've been, David. Where did you go?
I have been really all over. I was there with an importer who imported wines from Austria, from a number of the different regions that make wine in the country. And the sparkling wine, which is called Sekt in Austria, it's grown really in a fairly specific area for the most part, and it's just delightful.
So Austrian wines, 40 permitted grapes, mainly whites, notably Gruner Veltliner, which is about 1/3 of Austrian acreage. We love the still Gruner Veltliners. We had some terrific wines. Pinot Blanc is the other main grape, Weissburgunder, Riesling, and Chardonnay. The reds are Zweigelt, which is a cross between Blaufränkisch, also known as Limburger. Everybody has a double name. And Saint Laurent, which has peppery characteristics. So the producer who we were sent the sparkling wine, we have it in the photos. It's in our refrigerator. We're drinking as we go. Is Fred Loimer, Loimer, certified organic. He's a renowned Austrian winemaker from a long established wine growing family. And it's on 70 hectares in the area called Kamptal, which is a major wine growing region of Austria. And where he has 5 vineyards there. And the specific area, because there's many layers of regions, is the Niederösterreich. How'd they do? Niederösterreich.
I think you did okay.
And the AVA is Österreichischer. So it's many layers. What we have is the Weingut Loimer Extra Brut Reserve. It's a non-vintage, a blend of Zweigelt, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc. This has got a lot of fruit, high acidity. You've got a lot of layers, in there. But the Pinot Blanc adds kind of like an appley character. The Zweigelt adds a peppery character. This is 12% ABV, and it's $45. US suggested retail price. We also have the Extra Brut Reserve, which is 77% Zweigelt. Again, you can use other permitted grapes here. And again, the Zweigelt is a cross between Blaufränkisch and Saint Laurent, and Pinot Noir and Saint Laurent. And it's 20 months aging on these, and you get a lot of like cherry and plum cake. And so it's going to look like that's plum fruit cake flavors plus hazelnut, also certified organic and certified biodynamic, $45. Rosés tend to be slightly more expensive because there's a bit more involved but they're so wonderful. Big rosé. And, in like champagne, many rosés are only made in vintage years. So there you go. I wish we had German wines, also called Sekt. We need to befriend some German wine importers.
True.
And we need to go to Germany. Because they also have wonderful Sekt sparkling wines.
Yeah, and I think moving back to Austria, I think the Sekt wines from Austria, they're really delightful. They've got great acidity because it is a cooler climate.
Yes.
And although there's a fairly long growing season because of the river valleys that they grow in, however, it is cooler climate. So great acidity, lovely aromatics. And because they're using grapes like Gruner Veltliner, which has lovely aromatics to begin with, and things like Riesling as well, a lot of the time, the sparkling wines that they make, the sex just dance on your tongue. I just love these wines.
Here's an interesting fact. We have traveled around the United States, and one of the regions of the United States that has some Austrian German style wines impact is in Pennsylvania. Remember, we had similar grapes there, and there were, because the immigration, people set up and started cultivating grapes that they knew from there. And also, when we were talking last week with Megan Frank, they're doing a lot with these cooler climate wines as well. Actually, they're doing more with Saperavi and Riccazzatelli from Georgia, and we haven't been there, so to learn more about those wines. Yes, we need more trips because this is how we learn and bring our information to you.
That's right.
Now, this is a fun one, the next one. Ding, ding. Great Britain is making really terrific sparkling wines. Hear, hear.
I think it's really the next big region for sparkling wine production, I think, in Europe, because it is, first of all, it's brand new.
Yeah.
20 years ago, you couldn't make sparkling wine or really even grow quality grapes in Britain, but because of climate change, you are now getting some fabulous world-class sparkling wines coming out of there, made from Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. So the wines are wonderful. It's a young, up-and-coming region with some great producers in it that are really taking the world by storm these days. And we have a couple that we're trying today.
Too. But this is what's interesting. So geographically, the wine production areas of Great Britain are on the same Cimmerian ridge that you find in the Loire Valley, the Eastern Loire, and in Champagne. And it's a sequence of very ancient rocks that were formed over time. And if you go to the UK and see the white cliffs of Dover, the chalky white cliffs of Dover, they're like the chalky white cliffs you'll find in the Vallée de Marne, for example, in Champagne.
And it really is it's really the same vein of chalk that runs from Great Britain through the English Channel and then over to the region of Champagne. So it's really the same vein of chalk.
Yes.
Same climate now, but also really the same terroir.
Yeah. So look to the UK, and we hope to go visit, but we have two examples here. The first is Simpson's Wine Estate. Terrific wines, and its Partners Wine is the importer. It's a husband and wife owner, Charles and Ruth Simpson. They established Simpson's Wine Estate in 2014 in the Elm Valley in the North Downs of Kent, where there's a lot of interesting soil that's ideal for cultivating the champagne grapes that we all know and love, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. This couple happens to also own a winery in Languedoc in France called Domaine de Sainte-Rose. Fun fact. So they're not new to the business. No, they're old hands.
So that they make wine that they can really serve the whole meal with, right?
Exactly. Yes. So we've had several opportunities to taste the wines with our friend Jack Jelenko and Partners Wine, and these wines are sold around the United States. Simpson's Chalklands Classic Cuvée Non-Vintage is probably their benchmark. It's a 45% Pinot Noir, 35% Pinot Meunier, and 20% Chardonnay, aged 15 to 18 months on lees, 12.5% ABV. There's about 20% of reserve wines used to deepen the complexity. They're aged in neutral barrels. This wine has a lot of brioche, caramel, and pear, and probably not green apple, more red or yellow apple. The suggested retail is $56.
Yeah. And obviously Chalklands is named after the fact that there's a lot of chalk in the soil there, but also because this region is so close to the English Channel, you're getting a lot of maritime influence in the wines from the sparkling wines that are coming out of Great Britain. And I love that this wine in particular has a real, you can taste the salinity in the wine.
Yes.
And it just adds a level of complexity that I find fascinating.
There's several labels in Simpson's. They have one called 8 Origine, which is very, very special. The Blanc de Blanc called White Cliff, 100% estate-grown Chardonnay, 36 months on lees. This is a terrific wine. Again, it's called Simpson's Wine Estate, and you can get this around the United States. We also love the Canterbury Rosé, estate-grown, minimum 15 months on lees. The other British wine we were sent is Hambleton, Hambeldon Vineyard. It is England's oldest vineyard, established in 1952, located in the village of Hambleton, Hampshire. And this is imported by Vineyard Brands. The Hambleton Classic Cuvée Brut Non-Vintage is 51% Chardonnay, 32% Pinot Noir, 17% Pinot Meunier. I like to say Meunier. With about 16% reserve wines blended from the state's Solera system. 35 months minimum aging on lees, apple, red berries, brioche, and it's $55. So you can get a really top of the line British sparkling wine for under $60.
Mm-hmm. Really nice.
I actually really want to go to this area and meet the producers and really taste. I feel it's time.
Well, I think we should go in 2026.
Yes.
Yes.
We are going to do one more area of France. We're not going to, the elephant is Champagne. I think we actually may have to do a separate show on Champagne. We have two here we may mention at the end, but we got to get to the Southern Hemisphere as well. So we may end with Champagne, which is fine with me. But the one in our glass, because again, sparkling wine is made throughout France. In fact, the original ancestral method of making a sparkling wine and fermenting in bottle originated in Southwest France in the Languedoc area. And we had the great pleasure of going there and tasting and going to the birthplace,
we actually went to the abbey where it was actually created for the first time in Limoux, which is a wonderful little region, kind of out of the way, up in the hills. And it's really fascinating.
And while Champagne is only produced in the Champagne region of France, north of Paris, with very stringent guidelines, Clément is the sparkling wine made in the method champenoise style throughout France.
And there's a bunch of Crémant designations throughout France. I think we're going to talk about the Crémant de Loire today.
Yes, but there's Crémant de Alsace, one of the oldest, Crémant de Limoux, Crémant de Bourgogne, Crémant de Bordeaux.
Lots of Crémants.
So the wine that we were sent, and we actually have interviewed this producer and met him in the past and had lunch with him. So we have a personal connection, and we saw him when we were actually on a press trip, is Domaine Xavier and Agnes Emerald. We love their Cabernet Franc, by the way, but this is a sparkling. They make some wonderful wines. Again, thank you, Vineyard Brands. They showered us with sparkling wines. It's located in the St. Nicolas de Bourgogne area in the Loire Valley. So that's the central Loire, which I happen to love. It's a 92-acre Clos de Courtelin village. It's been in the Amaro Valley for 6 generations, managed now by Xavier Amaro and his wife Agnes, who we met, certified organic. This Xavier and Agnes Amaro Clément de Loire de Les Courtelins is a Brut, 100% Chenin Blanc, the signature white grape of the Loire, because outside of Champagne, you can use some, in most areas, you can use your local varieties. Minimum 18 months on lees. There's notes of lemon, honeysuckle, and white flowers. It's in our glass. Very crisp. Also lots of minerality because this area is known for its gravelly soils. 12% ABV and suggested retail $31.99. So a good wine. It's in our glass. I love Crémants. That's a great.
I love Crémant de Loire. I love Chenin Blanc. We all know that. We've talked about this before. I think the Loire Valley really makes some of the most exciting wines in France. And Chenin Blanc and Cabernet Franc are two big reasons for that. They're just great Cabernet grapes. Francs They're versatile grapes. They just do. They can adapt so well to different styles of vinification and also different growing conditions. So they're just wonderful grapes to work with.
Really terrific. And I can't wait to go back to the Loire. There's so much. We still haven't really been to the full Eastern Loire, the Sancerre, the central and toward the coast was gorgeous, just gorgeous. Now, Europe there's sparkling wines made throughout Europe. We just haven't been to those regions, and we don't have samples, and we only talk about places that we have visited and wines we have personally tasted and personal connections. That's why we're the Connected Table Live, not the press release group. We have to have personal experiences. We are going to, because we're at that halfway mark or less, we're going to go to South America, and we're going to the Southern Hemisphere because there's some terrific wines there. Why don't we start with I want to start with South Africa just because we segue into Chenin land a little bit. And this is South Africa it's really known for its Chenin Blanc, also known as Steen, and its Pinot Noir. Very good sparkling wines. They're known as Cap Classique. That's how they're labeled in South Africa, which is known. Their brand is Wines of Origin because they're very protective of how they want their labeling there. Yeah, very important.
We've done a few shows with South African producers, and South Africa's had a very old winemaking tradition.
Yeah,
really, grapes were planted when the Dutch first got there in the 1600s, so they've got a very long tradition of making wine. Sparkling wine, though, is more of a recent development.
Yes,
they didn't start making sparkling wine in South Africa probably in Stellenbosch until about the 1950s.
70s? Yeah.
70s.
So, and then in 1992, Cap Classique was officially adopted by the Cape Classic producers to distinguish South African sparkling wines made in the traditional method. Again, that's what we're focusing on. So we've had a lot of terrific South African sparkling wines. We tasted 3 recently with our good friend Suzanne Lang, who is based here in New Orleans, a very good friend who is from South Africa and created South to South wine imports to spotlight family-owned producers in South Africa. She actually created it after South Africa went through some challenges with what was seemed to be like equivalent of prohibition, and they suffered, and then the government changed, and then they were allowed to sell wine again. She wanted to help bring South African wines to the United States. The wine we have that we loved was called Methode, which is, I think it's a bird. It's in the Durbanville Valley, 20 minutes north of Cape Town. Most of South Africa's key wines are produced in the Western Cape Land, but there's some exceptions. It's a maritime climate, family owned, and found in 1990. So it's a farm owned by Bernhard Veller. I love the names of these 2 wines. They're called Matriarch, to honor mothers and honor the matriarch of the family. Again, these are family producers. We tasted 2. Matriarch Cap Classique 2023, which is 69% Pinot Noir, 31% Chardonnay, 13 months on lees. Very nice. Apple, pear, citrus fruit, brioche, $35 on average. These all roughly $35 to $40. Beautiful wine. Was in the photo we showed. The other one we liked was the Grand Matriarch.
Yeah, and both of them are, I think, for the quality that you're getting, very good prices.
Grand Matriarch was a Blanc de Noir. 100% Pinot Noir, 30 months on lees. This one had almost an amber, almost looked like a light rosé. It was
almost
amber,
a coral color.
Yeah, very savory was what we all said, with red berries, grapefruit, and I like burnt orange peel. I kept getting that. I kept thinking, I just tasted Cointreau.
Yeah, it has a nice savory character to it. Very good food one, I think.
Yeah, I think it's about 38 to 40. Again, we don't ever know anymore because of the T word, but
and this was 100% Pinot Noir.
Yeah. Very, very good. On the flip side, we also tried one made of 100% Colombard, right?
Yeah, this was the Silverthorn River Dragon Methode Cap Classique. A mouthful, that's for sure. But I love the fact that they call their wine River Dragon.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And this is actually 100% Colombard.
Yeah.
Which is a grape that we have yet to talk about today, but widely grown in Southwest France as well. And makes a very lovely kind of easy drinking sparkling wine.
Got a lot of white flowers in this one. It was fermented in old acacia barrels, so that's probably why I was getting that. And 12 months on lees, stone fruit, tropical fruits. The River Dragon is based on a formation in that area. So Robertson Valley is north central of Cape Town. All of these regions are like 20, 30 minutes away from Cape Town, at most an hour. And it's a river valley with rolling hills. And so a different terroir than maybe Durbanville. So we can't wait to go back to South Africa.
Yeah.
We've been once. We've been to Stellenbosch and Franschhoek. Did we go to anywhere else? It was so long ago.
Not for wine.
Birkenhoutkloof.
Birkenhoutkloof. In the Franschhoek Valley.
Love that wine.
I love the fact that it's Colombard, so it's got very different characters than a Chardonnay or Pinot Noir fermented sparkling wine.
Yeah,
and then also that they age it in acacia barrels, which I think give a little bit of a spiciness to it.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. You're right. So the importer there is South to South Wines, based out of New Orleans. She is from South Africa. I'm going to scroll up. We're still in the southern hemisphere. New Zealand. Okay, New Zealand is on our bucket list to travel along with Australia. Haven't been, can't wait to go. Love the wines. The sample we were sent is from Central Otago. This is Pinot Noir country. It's the southernmost wine region of New Zealand and, frankly, the world. Practically, I think there's one also at the Bodega Fendelmundo in South America. It's also the
southernmost in Chile.
Yeah. So a family-run boutique winery that produce wines made from Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, Riesling, and Chardonnay. This is Central Otago is an inland mountainous area on the 45th parallel. Very cool climate.
What's interesting about this is that most people think of South Africa and Sauvignon Blanc from the Marlborough region,
right,
which is the north end of the South Island.
Right.
But if you go further south to Central Otago, inland, that's where they grow all the Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And it obviously makes sense to make sparkling wine there as well.
Yeah,
and
very much so.
There's some great Pinot Noirs made there and also some very good Chardonnay. So this really just lends very well to that, especially if they have a cooler year where they might not get the ripeness that they want. Great for sparkling wine.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Such a great point. So Peregrine is named for the peregrine falcon. This one that we have, it was in the photo we showed, is a vintage 2019. Seems to have been a good year for people. 12.5% ABV. It's a typical blend, 60% Pinot Noir, 40% Chardonnay, matured for less than about 36 months on lees. So that's fairly standard. I think the minimum for champagne is 30 months, I think. I have to look at my notes. But anyway, citrus, white flowers again, and brioche, certified organic and biodynamic. Suggested retail price, about $45. They always say $44.99, but it's just like $45.
I always round it up the penny.
Yeah. Got the 90. I can't do the math. That's our only sample from New Zealand. So
but there's also very nice sparkling wines made in Australia. We don't have any samples. We didn't try any for this trip, but for this trip on the air, that is. And then also Tasmania makes some nice wines.
Oh, we got to go.
Tasmania makes some nice sparkling wines.
Yeah.
Because again, Pinot Noir country.
Yeah. We got to get down under soon. Of course, South America, I've been to several times. Lucky me. But actually, I've been to several times for adventure trips and not wine trips.
Right.
But we love the wines. We've done several shows with Argentinian producers who we have met and known for over the years. And a lot of Italians have invested in Argentina. This particular winery that we have tasted the wines is the highest vineyard in all of Mendoza at 6,560 feet above sea level. It's called Estancia Uspallata. It is named for the town of Uspallata, which is in the Quebrado del Minero miner's cabin, just outside there. And its estate belongs to a family named Saud, S-A-U-D, of Buenos Aires. And it's located, there's only 10 acres cultivated for vines, but the entire ranch is over 100,000 acres. So it's like, the entire mountain probably.
That's a lot of real estate.
But a lot of it's because of the location. Yeah. It's just not usable.
And these are the highest vineyards in Mendoza, which they're over 6,000 feet.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if it's the highest, and I don't know this. There's different, like Uco Valley. There's different textures, but I'm not sure the actual minimal what it's called. But this is the Estancia Uspallata Brut Nature White 100% Pinot Noir, a Blanc Noir, but it's no dosage. Lots of citrus and strawberry, very high minerality. $71.99 suggested retail. Very nice wine. The other one that we have from Argentina is Domaine Almanegra from Ernesto Catena Vineyards. A fourth generation winemaker of Italian descent. I remember I mentioned that a lot of Italians settled in Argentina after World War II. He was a designer for many years and loves the Renaissance. Alma Negra means black soul. And you have to look, you can't really see it on the little photo, but it's a mask. It's a black mask, a man in a mask when you look at the bottle. This is a wine that also he makes a wine called Mysteria. It is Uco Valley, 100% Pinot Noir, 8 months on lees, 13% ABV, $20 to $23. So reasonable.
Bargain.
Baggin. Argentina makes terrific sparkling wines. We just have 2 to work with right here.
They do make some very nice sparkling wines, as does Chile.
Yes.
Which is the next one we're going to talk about.
Yeah. And this is a famous name in Spain.
The Torres family is really well known in Spain.
Yeah.
But they've also been making wine in Chile since the 1970s.
Because many Spanish immigrated to Chile to invest in the
wine region. As they saw that it was going to start to grow, they were like, ooh, time to go make wine in South America.
Yeah, the Familia Torres has been making wine in Spain for over 150 years.
Yeah, but almost 50 years in Chile as well.
And
so they've got quite a record down there as well. And this is a wine that I really love. It's called Estelado, and it is a very unique wine. It is methode traditionelle, so it is re-fermented in the bottle. The grape is called País,
right?
Which is in the United States known as the Mission grape, and it's the first Vitis vinifera grape brought to the Americas to be planted when the explorers were coming over here to settle. So it's the oldest Vitis vinifera grape planted in California, in the New World.
Yeah, in California
as
in
well.
The U.S. Right.
So it makes a very light red style wine, very very pleasant to drink. It was probably the most widely planted red grape in Chile up until about the 1970s when the modern wine revolution started to take foot and people started focusing on things like Cabernet and Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, things like that.
In the I hope I pronounce Maule, Maule Valley, it's still widely planted.
Yes, and it's having a bit of a renaissance now and especially due to sparkling wines such as this one, the Estelado.
So this wine is imported by our friends at Vineyard Brands, Miguel Torres Estelado Sparkling Brut Rosé. It is 100% País, whole bunch fermentations. You get a lot of juicy character from that age, just 5 to 6 months on lees. It's very fruit forward, a lot of red berry notes. This is a good one for light lunches.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I actually wrote this in my column.
You did?
In Tasting Panel magazine in December 2023 when I first had it.
And suggested retail $18.99. Yeah. So, of the wines we talked about, the Marqués de Cáceres Cava and the Miguel Torres Sparkling Brut Rosé from Chile are your best wine bargains at great quality.
One that we don't have samples of and I've been to, but you have not, is Brazil. Which is probably the largest sparkling wine producer in South America.
But those are Charmat or traditionelle?
Both.
Okay.
So but it's a very big industry in Brazil to make sparkling wine, like millions of bottles. But none of it really leaves the country. There's very few producers that leave the country.
Kind of like Switzerland.
Yeah. And the reason they started making sparkling wine there is a lot of the immigrants in Brazil emigrated from places like Trento in Italy, the Great Migration, and they found the region of southern Brazil, which is kind of near the Uruguayan border, was conducive to the land that they grew up in. So they started planting grapes. And when Brazil was closed to international commerce in the 1970s, a lot of the European sparkling wine producers went to Brazil to feed that market because they couldn't get it outside the country. So they made it inside the country to sell there. So places like Moet et Chandon, et cetera, went there to make sparkling wine.
That's interesting. It makes a lot of sense. It's like what they're doing now in China. They're all investing in China.
And they've all stayed, and and it's grown since then.
Well, Brazil is a great country to sell internally.
Great producers down there.
And I remember having sparkling wine when I was celebrating New Year's at the Copacabana Palace.
Yeah.
I think it was more of a Glera style, Prosecco style wine. I don't remember it.
Well, again, there's producers that make both.
So if you go to Brazil, drink the sparkling wine.
Yeah.
And it's a great place to celebrate New Year's, by the way. Like we said, there's so many other places that we could touch on, but we do have, and we're set. So we want to give acknowledgement to 2 champagne producers. And I think then we're going to need to do a whole nother show just on champagne. Hi, we'd like some more champagne. The first one, again, Partners Wine. He's a neighbor. We love him. Jack Jelenko. Champagne Tribeau Schlosser. It's a grower champagne from the Marne Valley. Champagne Tribeau Schlosser was founded in 1929 in the heart of Champagne and Romery, just near Epernay. It was born from a union, which is typical in France and other parts of Italy, where the families merge and then they becomes first name and last name. So it was Jean Tribeau and Suzanne Schlosser. Both were wine growing families. You know how that is, the Napoleonic Code in France. 4 generations of a grower champagne in the best areas of the Montagne de Reims and Marne Valley near Epernay. The Champagne Tribeau 8 terroirs. This is it. 8 terroirs origine non-vintage. It's a blend of 50% Pinot Meunier, 30% Chardonnay, 20% Pinot Noir, which are the permitted grapes there, although they are making some new exceptions with some other grapes because of climate change. It's fresh and fruity with notes of pear and plum and some brioche. It's a blend of 20% oak-aged reserved wines, which gives it a nice wood character as well. Very long finish, $54 bottle. Again, this is Tribeau. There's many in the Tribeau, Champagne Tribeau Schlosser portfolio. I also happen to love the Le Brut Origine Rosé, which is 40% Pinot Noir, 30% Chardonnay, and 30% Pinot Meunier, only $59. Still a fairly good price point for that. And then, of course, there is a no dosage called La Origine Blanc de Noir, which is Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier blend for $57 if you're into no dosage. The other champagne
again, a grower champagne.
Yes.
These are wines that you don't find everywhere. So when
Correct.
you do find them, you should order one.
So the grower champagne means that the producer grows his or her grapes and makes the wine, where many are other growers or growers that sell to negociants or to the big classic houses who then work with different growers to create their special recipe blend. So those wines are known for their consistency, i.e. Taittinger is an example. A grower works with what they have, which is challenging for the grower if it's a bad year. You know, they got to work with what they grow. So grower champagnes, sommeliers love them, right?
They do.
They are the darlings. Another wine we were sent from Vineyard Brands, established in 1760, is Champagne Delamont, a vineyard owner in Reims. And this 3 centuries later, in the Côte de Blanc, in Les Menils-sur-Orgueil, which is one of the great smaller production areas, they continue. We have here the I think we have the Brut Chardonnay, 55% Chardonnay, 35% Pinot Noir, and 10% Pinot Meunier for $55.
That's the Brut non-vintage.
Yeah,
they also make a wonderful Blanc de Blanc, 100% Chardonnay, and then they also make a rosé, the Delamont rosé.
Yeah, 24 months on lees. Again, the price point for the Champagne rosés tends to be higher because often they're only made in certain years. But what we have is the Brut non-vintage, another terrific label. There are so many great wines from around the world, and Champagne deserves its own highlight. Actually, we want to go back because we had the great opportunity to go and meet with Roland Champion and interview those folks, and lovely wines. There's some others we've interviewed. Of course, Billicart Semon Rosé, their patriarch, just passed away. We're going to send a condolence note to 102. He just passed. One of my favorite New Year's Eve wines, Billicart Semon, and of course, another one is Rare, which is
Heidsieck.
Yeah, Heidsieck. Love these ones. These are the tête de cuvées. Whenever we're invited to a tête de cuvée, we say yes. But you can find champagnes at all price points. And you can find sparkling wines at all price points, and you should be drinking sparkling wines every day and not saving them for special occasions. However, because we're in the middle of the holidays, we're doing our annual holiday show on sparkling wines, and we'll be doing some more.
So you may not be able to get these for Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow.
Right, but you'll be getting year-round.
However, there's still time to shop for Christmas and New Year's.
And
anniversaries
and Valentine's. Our anniversary is March 17th. Maybe we'll do the champagne one.
So this is a good starter list to go out and see if you can search for some of these wines.
Absolutely. So drink bubbles, enjoy, and remember, you can enjoy bubbles with a long life. The patriarch of Billicart Semon was 102 when he passed. So maybe champagne's good for a long life. Anyway, we toast. Why do I have less than you in my glass?
Well,
I may have to get some more. We toast to all of you for the holidays and everydays, and appreciate your joining us, appreciate your sharing our shows and following us on The Connected Table. Read our blog at theconnectedtable.com and listen to our shows on more than 65 podcast channels or watch it on YouTube. 12 seasons in. Every year I say we're going to throw in the towel, but every year we say we're keep going because we're insatiably curious and we want you to as well. And we want to eat, drink, explore, and inspire you to see the world and travel with us. Thank you for joining us, Sante.